Good day, everyone, and welcome to our live webinar, How to Ace Your Hybrid Modern Workplace. This webinar is brought to you by TechOne Global and Microsoft. I am Mimi Navarro, your sessions host. The ability for employees to work from anywhere and still be able to communicate and collaborate is a current area of growth in the global marketplace. More organizations are allowing employees to work from home in addition to those that travel and require the ability to access information, making the hybrid workplace more desirable for both employers and employees. With these benefits of taking the workplace in a hybrid setup, the ability to keep identities, devices, applications, and data security becomes a top priority for organizations. So, how can your team work together while making sure that your business processes are secured? Thank you for joining us today in this insightful session with industry speakers with diverse backgrounds from TechOne Global, Microsoft, and Boss Coffee to help you enable your business with remote access, security, accessibility, and digital inclusion. Now, for today's event, we will have a fireside chat with our industry speakers in the first half. For the second half, we will showcase technologies and solutions on how to ace your hybrid modern workplace. Before we officially start, we also love to hear from you. So if you have questions about our speakers, we encourage you to place them in our chat room and we will address that during the Q&A. So, without further ado, let us kickstart the fireside chat. Here's Mr. Lahiro Monindadrasa, Managing Director of TechOne Philippines, to moderate the session with our industry speakers. Over to you now, Boss Lahiro.
Thanks, Mimi. Thanks, everyone. Hello, everyone. Wherever you happen to be tuning in from, whether it be from Southeast Asia or South Asia, because I heard from Mimi, we have some attendees from South Asia as well. So I'm Lahiro Munindradasa, Managing Director of TechOne Philippines. Today, I'll moderate this fireside chat discussing how to ace your hybrid workplace with an exciting group of leaders. So let me introduce our panelists who joined this virtual room today. So we have Wet Watson. He's the modern work and security business lead and at Microsoft Philippines. In this capacity, he manages the Microsoft 365, Microsoft Security, and Microsoft Surface businesses in the country across all segments from SMB to enterprise. We have Luis Barrera. He's currently working as a cloud services manager in TechOne Philippines. He manages both Microsoft 365 and developing IT and security roadmap strategy, uh, designing and delivering cloud solutions. And also we have Bot Serrano with us today. Welcome, Bot. Bot Serrano is the MIS manager of Boss Coffee. She has been in the IT industry for almost 17 years, managing all segments in food and retail, as well as project management and managed services. So thank you, leaders, for joining us today to share your valuable industry experience. All right. So when we take our kids on a long road trip, there's a popular question they ask: are we there yet? Most of the time we say not yet. Today, as adults, we ask ourselves the same question: are we there yet? When we will come out from this turbulent time? You will agree, leaders, that we continue to experience challenging times, with many headwinds facing the world today. The current worldwide resurgence in COVID-19 cases due to the new Omicron variant, the spread of monkeypox virus, the global currency and debt crisis, supply chain problems and logistics difficulties, and increased shipping cost, worldwide inflation and food security crisis. So all these factors are impacting our local businesses and creating fear and uncertainty in their investment decisions. So leaders, first, I would like to understand each of you to share your viewpoint. How do you see the importance of having a good hybrid workplace strategy while facing current global headwinds? Why companies should still invest in implementing a good hybrid workplace strategy? But would you like to go first?
Thanks. Thank you, Lairo. And first of all, let me start by saying thank you so much to everybody here that joined us this afternoon, our dear customers and partners, and of course, the amazing Tech One Global team for joining us. Uh, I'm pretty excited about what's ahead when we think about hybrid work and what does modern workplace mean in the next few years. I would say the importance of hybrid work, especially during the past couple of years. When we think about the past couple of years, right, it really put back the focus on the people, right? I think for the past how many decades it's been just this process of growing businesses and how do we do more and how do we grow more and how do we get more profit, and it just put the whole world into a halt to a point that okay, let's remember what is important. Let's not forget our employees drive our growth. The employees themselves, we as employees here, we know that it put us in a position to reevaluate what is important to us. Why is this job important to me? And we have this study called the Work Trend Index report, and it's interesting because it says that in the past few years, um, 53% of employees that were part of the study is saying that they are thinking about their well-being more than pre-pandemic. And what's even more interesting was that the Philippine number from that study was actually 67%. That's 14 points above the global average. Filipinos are thinking more about our well-being. And so in consideration of again bringing back the employee and the people at the core, hybrid work really empowers us to focus on outcomes as opposed to time ins and time outs, right? It's that realization that productivity is not about badging in and badging out and thinking that okay, perfect attendance, fantastic promotion for you, with no idea if there's even a the impact to the business, right? And so hybrid work allows for that flexibility where for employees that have the opportunity to, and potential employees who have the opportunity to bring impact to these organizations, are no longer hindered by the fact that they have to be in the office 8 o'clock to 5 o'clock, sometimes 6, from Mondays through Fridays to be able to deliver to these organizations. It's good for both. It's good for employees and those potential employees that don't have that flexibility and now are able to. I mean, we're seeing amazing growth in the Philippines around employees, based out, not based in, metropolitan areas, who are now able to get employed in, for example, BPOs, even if they're based out of provinces. And it's also an opportunity for organizations to really refocus from from time in and time outs to true productivity and business impact. So it's a win-win. And I think the hybrid work strategy is key to that.
Thank you. Thanks, Yvette. I think it's very important point that you emphasize because every business is a people business and every business is a digital business today. So if you don't take care of your people, no one is there to take care of your customers, right? So I think it's very important, people standpoint, it's very important that you make that investment to have the right hybrid workplace in your organization. Because I remember recently I read some article, the benefit of employee retention over employee recruitment to replace your staff, because that is really costly, right? So yeah, thanks. Okay, and Luis, appreciate it if you could share your opinion on this as well.
Sure, boss. I think I see a huge importance and impact of what has become for the hybrid workplace, considering most of the it's actually on all in all organizations, whether it's SMB or enterprise. Looking If we're going to look back before the rise of the internet, the cloud computing, and the expansion of the digital media that has been, being improved, there's a shared mindset around the innovation and creativity as well. There's a lot of expectations for consumers, like for example getting like high quality products or high quality services or even customer experience in order for us to, to provide those types of services to our customers or maybe to some of the organizations, and as well the cost as well. It will they're also looking at cost optimization in terms of these changes. So I really see the cloud is changing, like what Vet mentioned. No, it's focusing more on it's like a human centric, so it really focuses on how people work, and at the same time with IT making it easier than ever to create and share content in real time and also synchronize it with different types of devices. So it's really more bridging the gap easier or really improving the collaboration and even the employee engagements that we have nowadays.
Thank you. Thanks, Luis. Thanks for sharing some interesting perspective on that. But we would like to hear from you. What is your perspective on this?
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, the
Yeah.
pandemic situation, as we all know, has affected everybody across the global emotionally, psychologically, and financially. Business were down and all. However, despite of all this hybrid model offered flexibility and has empowered employees to work to their strengths and turn help them boost their productivity as well by encouraging a culture that views remote work as a positive alternative to completing deep focus in the tasks in the office. Teams can find a good balance and creativity and also the collaboration. That's it. Thank you.
Uh, I would like to understand about the challenges that your organization faced with the traditional workplace before and during the COVID-19 pandemic, because I think it will be helpful for our audience to share that experience. So
Mhm.
would you like to comment on that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. The businesses are the backbone of any economy, while in the with the ripple effect of the COVID-19 on economics and economies all over the world, protection has become important more than ever. The microeconomic and development situation was challenging, evident in slowing but still growth. And the risk of the debts distress, low levels of domestic resources and mobilization, and high inflation, high unemployment, not at least among youth trying to find opportunities in with elevate levels of informality, low for forex reserve, and significant pressure on the exchange rate, just to name a few. So basically, there's a lot of impact the business for traditional now are before pandemic. They are not open for the digital transformation like the cloud. They not informed very in some companies. So after this pandemic, maybe they're very open for the digital transformation. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Thank you. Also, I would like to understand, since you have been one of the recent customer moved to M365, uh, how did your digital transformation and migration to M365 help your organization to cope up with some of these challenges and some of your company goals?
There's no the challenges in our part is like for the people. They are not well knowledgeable, especially on the other like SharePoint or whatsoever. But in the nowadays, it's like they're adjusting also about the how we transition to MS365. The challenge is the people. Some of the people is like I don't know. I'm just used I used to Google like that. So that's the challenging part. So But then again, they are already absorbed how we transition to MS365. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. I think change is one of the most constant thing in the world,
Yep.
and also that has been quite challenging for any organization when it comes to
Yes.
adapting to a new platform. So
Agree.
yeah, I think you also face the same challenges. Yeah. Okay. Uh, okay. I want to turn to Wet for the next question. So Wet, we have heard about many modern work tools and platforms launched in the past few years. But unfortunately, sometimes this confuses the customer in deciding on the right tool or platform to choose because of the sea of options available. On the other hand, customers are in two minds about whether to invest in a tier one product like M365 or to go with some unpopular product based on the price factor. I mean, I have came across several scenarios like that. So I would like to ask your opinion. Why are modern work solutions influential in shaping today's modern workplace? Or the what we call hybrid workplace, why should our customers still invest in the right platform? This question to you, Wet.
Thanks, Lahiru. Fantastic question. And I've had a number of these conversations as well. The concept of hybrid work is a bit more understood in some of the larger organizations, right? Where they know that hybrid work is here to go and that they have no choice but to sort of embrace it and make it work for them. That's key, right? It's not something uh, that is detrimental when you think about it. As long as you know how to make it work for your organization, it can work to your benefit. But on the other side of the fence, we are quite the country, and as you think about the larger set of organizations where we know 90% of the Philippines are MSMEs, and riding on that trend is not as easy as it seems, right? It's more than just the adoption of the tools. It's actually a huge cultural and even mindset shift that has to be truly understood, has to be truly quantified. What is this benefit to my business? If I were to ride on this, is it really just a trend, or is it really something that's going to shape how employees expect them to be able to work moving forward? And so, you know, first acknowledging that yes, it is quite a conversation, but if there's one thing, right? Why invest in modern work solutions? I would say that the modern work solutions are really just, or technology in general, are really just enablers of what the organization wants to achieve first at the high level, at the cultural level, at the business level, right? At the C-suite level. Technology will only enforce, will only push what the leadership wants to achieve. I'll give you a really good example. We have a new GM in Microsoft Philippines. For those who have yet to see the announcement, his name is Peter Makera, and he's from Ayala, so he's pretty familiar with our products. But when he joined, he was just blown away by how we at Microsoft use Microsoft 365 and all of the other Microsoft platforms, because even after using Teams for so many years, he did not realize the potential, right? And so what he always tells me and tells our customers that visit the office is really how the tools can be that enforcer of a strategy, if you think about it. So when Microsoft, as an example, massive organization, 100 and what is it, 160,000 employees across the globe, when we had to push ourselves with cultural transformation, when our CEO Satya joined in 2014 and said, we're gonna we're gonna shift gears, we're gonna push this huge ship to a different direction, because all over the news, you might have heard it, Microsoft is going astray, Microsoft is gonna close. I mean, who cares about Office 2010, 2013, 2016, 2007, right? It's almost becoming irrelevant. And so pushing that idea from and this whole organization across distributed across the world to say, hey, we're gonna care about our customers more. We're gonna work as one Microsoft. I don't know if you've seen those funny pictures of comics of Microsoft employees pointing guns at each other because we're trying to win deals and we're pretty much competing within the organization. It was a huge cultural shift. And now, through that cultural shift, Microsoft is now what, $2 trillion company. Stocks are now at 250, 260 USD from what was around 50, 60 bucks per stock, right? And it's amazing. And it was primarily a culture shift. But that was only possible with strong leadership first, followed by the technologies and the processes that made that happen. So there was a cultural and there was a leadership understanding, a very strong leadership voice. We're gonna do this. We're gonna shift gears. We're gonna move to the cloud, right? All of these licensing sellers are gonna have to pivot. Gonna have to learn how to talk to the customer and understand their customer priorities. We're gonna change our processes, which means we're gonna measure employees towards that culture shift, right? Because it's one thing that you say, yeah, we're going to do this, we're going to be customer focused. And by the way, you're going to get incentives if you close the deal, period. So it's really a push and pull of what the processes are saying, how are people incentivized versus what leadership is saying. And then finally, how do you enforce that? And technology can help there. And so the way, for example, Microsoft employees, are incentivized as you think about our core-based incentives, which is something we get annually. It's measured across three key things now. It's across your 33% incentive, your impact to the business, 33% how you help others succeed, and 33% how others help you succeed. Imagine the huge shift. And now, if you're compensated that way, if your bonuses are measured that way, you're going to be more collaborative. And that's what it means. And it's not just a process, it's not just a cultural leadership thing, it's a technology thing because our technologies, our systems help enforce everything that I just described. And so, sorry, I know it's a long winded answer, but I would say the solutions enforce what the policies and what the leadership pushes. If it's one thing that your leadership is saying something, it's another when the processes support it and the technology support it. And that's why the solutions are critical as well.
It's a long answer and also it's a very comprehensive answer. Thanks, Yvette. And I think if I take the gist of what you mentioned, it's about how, as an organization, if you want to take the best out of your people, from your people, so you need to equip them with the right tools.
Absolutely.
If you don't do that, if you go with some mediocre kind of mindset, then what the results going to be the same, right? So
Exactly.
spot on, and thanks giving that clarity to our audience. So I think they understand the importance of why they should invest on right modern work solutions. Thank you. So let me shift and ask Luis a question here. So Luis, you have been involved in many M365 migration projects from Google and other third-party platforms. Whit has shared some exciting information about how these modern work solutions can help many businesses to build a hybrid workplace. So how can these modern work solutions protect organization data from breach, especially during migration and after go live? Because nowadays, cyber attacks are very common, right? It has been always in the news. Whenever you see any local news or foreign news, you can see always, some companies got hacked. Like, sometimes we started feeling there are two types of companies on earth. The companies already got hacked, which they already know they got hacked, and the companies they don't know they got hacked. So how do you think from a technology point of view, modern work solutions can protect the organization data from breach, especially during the migration and after go live?
Yeah, sure. Thanks for that one, boss. So, basically, as we all know that today's digital world is keeps on evolving, ever shifting data, and then at the same time, it's ever shifting or ever growing threats that we're experiencing right now. The right information security solution is very critical for organizations. That's one. But aside from knowing the right information security solution, not just on the technological perspective, we also need to understand how would be able to protect ourselves or get to know in-depth details on how we'll be able to position the right solution for our business. Of course, we'll have to align ourselves what's our business requirement, and at the same time align it with our technical requirements. That's the first thing. So the good thing about the modern workplace solutions nowadays is that they offer most flexible and advanced data protection solutions at a low cost and providing the protection required by the organization while preserving its flexibility. So that's the good thing about it. And it is, if we're not able to give value on let's just say if we disregard security, then it's very easy for the organizations to lose value information and at the same time even intellectual property. So given to the challenges, let's say migrating from a traditional systems and configuring or migrating to a new ones, it is also important that you should assess yourself and just be honest to yourself. If you don't know, it's okay. I mean, no one is perfect. So you just have to acknowledge yourself that maybe for the meantime, I need some help. Maybe you need to get a partner who has a deep expertise in terms of modern IT models and technologies. So that's one thing that you need to have a good mindset is that if you really don't know what's going on, just acknowledge it to yourself. I don't know, but at the same time, I'm willing to learn and learn new things, and at the same time I'm ready to adapt and shift to this modern IT technologies. So that's for me, boss. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Luis. Thanks for sharing your valuable information with our audience. So I have one last question to all leaders. So how do you see the future of hybrid workplace in the coming years? Especially, you know that we are stepping towards metaverse age. Still, it is in very conceptual level and a lot of testing going on, but definitely this is also going to play a key role. So how do you see the future of hybrid workplace in the coming years? Because yeah, I mean we are always seeing in news hybrid work is going to stay here. So do you think hybrid work is going to stay here? Do you think there will be further development, especially with the influence of new technology like metaverse? So what's your opinion? What's your viewpoint on that? But Luis, anyone would like to take this question?
I sure, happy to start.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lyro. I would say moving forward, the first key trend will really be the importance of embracing flexibility. I think organizations are gonna have to really rethink their strategies, not just technological, but the way they think about their processes, the way they think about how they run their business, around how do we enable flexibility for our employees so that we can achieve agility. Okay, so it's not just about the employees. It's not just about, all these Gen Zs and millennials wanting us to allow them to work from home. It's not just that, right? Although the employee expectations are changing, fundamentally, it's also for the organization because we know that, again, there's a lot of uncertainties, right? At one time, nobody was expecting a pandemic that's going to last this long. And I've had conversations with really really large brands in the Philippines when they go and say, you know what, Bet, that sounds so nice, but we don't need video conferencing solution. We have a meeting, everybody come to the conference room. That's not going to change. It happened, it worked for us in the last 100 years, it's still going to work for us in the next 100 years. Bam, pandemic. right? And so now they're on M365. But point being is that the level of uncertainty is still there, right? I mean, there's a war ongoing. There's just so much macroeconomic and economic considerations, and there's just a lot outside of our circle of control. And so what we do now is focus on what we can control. Is that if we need to go full work from home again, will our business be able to continue to operate? Ideally, yes. And so allowing that flexibility, allowing that ability for frontline workers, for information workers to be able to continue to deliver their best work regardless, right? And allowing that full flexibility is going to be key in the years to come. And I would say this trend, to your point, Lahiro, around the metaverse is pretty exciting to me. You know, more than a concept now, I've had conversations with many organizations in the Philippines who are serious to really embrace metaverse. They're thinking about how are they going to up their retail experience with metaverse, and now there are actual pilots happening uh, around enabling the metaverse. And what we do know about the metaverse, it's almost like internet 2.0, right? We're saying that the internet is now as mainstream to many, many people before. Internet was more of a nice to have, and now it's here to stay. And now it's behind. We know that screens. We have more screens in a room than there are people, um, and so the access to the internet is key. It's now there. What is next? And this is what we believe is going to be Internet 2.0. It's going to be something that's going to be more mainstream in the years to come. We've seen it in gaming. We're seeing it in bank retailing. We're seeing it in tech concerts. I mean, Snoop Dogg just had his yeah, had his party over the metaverse, and so we're seeing a lot of exciting investments there. And even Microsoft is making investments towards that. So the metaverse, things like the Microsoft Mesh is going to come to Microsoft Teams because we know that this is coming. And so we want to make sure our customers are as prepared for it as well. Thanks, Lairu.
All right, thank you. Thanks, Matt. Leaders, any other comments you have? Anything you want to add, Luis? What? Yeah.
Sure. For me, the future of hybrid workplace is there's a lot of opportunities. It's so bright, and it's going to be a busy because at the end of the day, since this is a new technology, so there's a lot of concepts, a lot of ideas that's gonna come into play, and if those ideas were able to be executed, so it's going to benefit as well for the people. So it's gonna create more jobs. It's gonna help the economy, and at the same time, as we all know, some maybe right now it's not just a concept, but it's already happening. So in our setup, boss, like right now, we're working from home, so we become more mobile, so we can work from anywhere where we want to, and it will be continuously evolving to take advantage of that agile approach, and at the same time, it increases the productivity and improve employee engagements. While having that, it can also lead improving our customer experience to our customers while embracing new technologies or using those new technologies. So that's my take for that one, boss. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. What any last comments you want to add? You want to share with our
Yeah.
audience?
Yeah, for the hybrid models nowadays, it's really effective, especially on the traditional people or organization here in the Philippines. They really invest for the transition of for the digital, like Microsoft, like a lot of products, especially number one, MS365. So they are grasping right now the importance of the digital transformation. So again, this opportunity for going, I think, very well, especially here in the Philippines, because again, here in the Philippines is very traditional. So one, especially in food and retail, they are very budgeted. when it comes to technology. But I'm really happy, especially in my company right now, in Boss Coffee, they are aiming right now for the digital transformation. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, leaders, for your valuable insights and for sharing your experience with our audience today. I hope to invite you again for a similar event like this in near future. So thanks again. Mimi, over to you.
Okay.
Thanks, Lahiro. Thanks, team.
Thank you so much to our speakers for this very insightful session. So, we hope that you gained more information from their discussion. So, if you have questions about our speakers, we encourage you to place them in our chat room and we will address that during the Q&A. Now, moving to the second half of the webinar, let us discuss how to make collaboration more efficient with modern work solutions. So, here's Jeremy, Derek, De La Cruz. I'm actually confused because I'm more familiar calling him Jeric, cloud consultant from Tech One Philippines. He designs, plans, and implements stable M365 infrastructure solutions. He also executes, manages, and leads customers through the cloud migration, onboarding, technical, and support process. Now, over to you now, boss Jeric.
Thank you, Miss Mimi. Just give me a minute. I'll just share my screen.
Yep.
Okay. So, do you guys see my screen?
Yes,
All right.
boss.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jarek, and I'm one of the cloud consultants here with TechOne Global. And today, I will be discussing how can you collaborate more efficient with modern work solutions, right? So, today, small companies are the backbone of the company or the economy, rather. Although silent, they are the reason why we are thriving, right? And during this pandemic, we are all struggling, including the small and medium sized businesses, right? Despite this incident, Microsoft believe that people are the driving force behind the progress. Okay, so people are generalized as problem solvers. They adapt. Okay, they adapt, and some of the companies, just like Ms. Bot here, thrive and adapt with the hybrid solutions, hybrid modern workplace solutions. Example of this would be restaurants, right? So instead of in-person dining, they now go online ordering or even shopping, right? Instead of in-person shopping, most of us are using the online shopping nowadays, no? So if I am a company, right, and I was affected by this pandemic, how do I deal with that situation, right? So in order to thrive, you need to think of three capabilities. Number one, real-time collaboration. If I have a business, okay, how do I make sure that I can still operate despite using hybrid work, right? So we need to make sure that our collaboration is effective, efficient. We can communicate with each other, right? Another thing that I will be also thinking would be security. We all know that there are a lot of risk if we are going to go with online, or we are afraid probably of the cyber attacks, phishing attacks specifically, right? How do I make sure that I have the correct security posture for my business, right? So we need to recognize and strengthen our security capabilities as well. Another thing that I have to consider, of course, and most of us will agree with this one, the budget, right? So we need a simplified solution. We don't want so many solutions, all right? Not all of the solutions you will be using that one, right? So you need to make sure that I just have like what I need, and that's what I pay for every year, right? Now, the legacy solutions do not solve these problems. Number one, legacy solutions cannot support the modern threats that arises right now. On top of that, there are a lot of applications that being developed and being used by many people, right? So we wanted to make sure that our solution is simple as much as possible, right? So as per the surveys from the Small and Business Association from the US, 84% of the global market are accelerating to digital transformation to accommodate the demands for the flexibility. And also 88% of them is telling that they are still vulnerable to these attacks. And what they are also telling is that 1 year cash reserves is recommended to sustain the operations. All right. So these are the top problems that they are facing. And how do we resolve this one? Well, you can take a look at the benefits of the Microsoft 365 solution, wherein we wanted to enable your people with the real-time collaboration tools, right? So using those tools, you can operate efficiently, even you're in hybrid work. You can also think of Microsoft as a guard that will safely enables you with your technology. So security is top of mind. All right. So you don't have to worry about that one. Later on, you will understand why is it Microsoft that you will choose for security. And it also helps you reduce your costs. So Microsoft 365 has the subscription-based model, and you don't have to pay for your capital expenditure. You don't have to worry about the upgrades cost, right? And the server cost if you're going to maintain your server. So yeah, everything is going to be handled by Microsoft. All you have to do is just pay monthly or annually if you wanted. So let's sum it up. So Microsoft 365 is a secure and creative or a secure and effective, reliable cloud solutions and secure your workplace from virtually anywhere, right? And Microsoft 365 is composed of these three parameters. Number one, Office 365. Office 365 focuses more of collaboration. Uh, it helps you create, edit, share, and communicate and collaborate with your data across the world, right? So if I have already all my business application, I needed some sort of a platform or an operating system. So that's why my Windows 10 is included with this package, right? So if you have like a Windows 10 Pro being used by your company, it will be upgraded to Windows Business or Windows Enterprise so that you can gain more security with your operating system or your platform. Okay. And of course, not only that platform, you wanted to also secure your identities, your device, your data, and your emails. So that's why there is what we call the zero trust technology. And that's where the enterprise mobility and security comes in. All right. So those are the benefits that you can get with Microsoft 365. All right. On top of that, Microsoft 365 is a powerful collaboration tool. So, as I said earlier, it enables you to communicate effectively using the Microsoft Teams, and you can also collaborate with your documents with that. Um, Scalable and flexible. Why? Because all you have to do is just simply assign your licenses to your users who will require the service that they needed, and that's it. You can remove that as you wish, right? So you can easily modify, configure what are the needs of your users. Robust security and compliance. So it implements zero trust architecture. So in here, you can secure your identities and your data, all right? So you can plan ahead and construct what kind of security layer that I will be implementing in my infrastructure, all right? Simplified administrator. You know what? The most headache of the administrator is that we have a lot of applications. But you know, with Microsoft 365, each services has its own administrator portal. So all you have to do is just go to that admin portal and configure what is necessary based on your operation needs, right? And lastly would be the cost, right? So for the cost, of course, it's subscription based. So all you have to do is just worry for the monthly bill or the annual bill, right? Without using or without worrying about the upgrade cost because Microsoft is evergreen. So those are the value and the benefits that you can get with Microsoft 365. Now the question is, how do I move to M365, right? Now there are multiple ways on how you can migrate your data to Microsoft. I will name you three. First, we have the Microsoft built-in tools. So Microsoft built-in tools, those are free. You can actually see that one on each respective admin panel. And you can migrate email, data, or even SharePoint files. Now, the thing about this is that it's a do-it-yourself program, all right? So you can actually do it, all right? You just have to prepare the source, you have to prepare the destination, and then you have to prepare the schedule of your batches, okay? All right, and we also have the fast track migration benefit. Now, it's also free, but take note, there's like an asterisk there. So why is that? Because in order for you to gain this kind of service, you need to have like 500 paid licenses or above 500. So as long as you have like, for example, Office 365 services, example, Exchange Online or Enterprise E1, which is Exchange emails. If you have 500 of those, you will be eligible with this benefit. So the migration, it can migrate. Sorry, it can migrate email, data, SharePoint, and even Microsoft Teams. Now, the thing about this that the customer will need to register as the fast track customer, and after registering as a fast track customer, we can request for a ticket in order for us to communicate with the fast track migration officer, and we can plan out and help out with the migration process, and that is absolutely free. Okay, so that's one good thing about it. Or you can also go with a third party migration tool. Now the cost depends on the chosen provider, right? There are a lot. I can name few. Okay, BitTitan, ShareGate, Skykick. Okay, now those providers they have a different migration service. So some of them might have email and data migration, but they don't have any Teams or SharePoint migration. Some only has SharePoint and Microsoft Teams migration. Okay, so it's gonna be dependent on them. Now the thing about this one is that some of them are, or some of the clients are using this one because they can somehow bypass the throttling or the migration throttling limit that was set by the provider. For example, Google has a 5 GB throttling limit per day. So we need to say you can only migrate 5 GB of data per day, right? So I have to use some sort of this tool so that I can migrate it faster, right? So that I can lower the impact of this migration, right? So this process is partner led, or sometimes you can do it yourself. Okay, so those are the migration strategy. Now, so how does it really work? So for example, we have like I'm a company with 300 users, and I'm from Google, and I'm going to Microsoft 365, right? So first thing that I have to do, since I'm not really that tech savvy, I will have to contact my a partner, the one that is expert. So let's say I'm gonna call Tech One Global. So after I called Tech One Global, yeah, we talk about, okay, so if what tool are we going to use to migrate this? So we're going to create a proposal. We're going to tell you the impact of this. What is the scope of this work? All right. What is the benefit if you're going to migrate? All right. So if everything is good, then we go ahead and prepare your destination. So I'm going to go first to your house. What sort of things I need to do? What are the checklists that I need to do in order to make sure that I can migrate to that house? Okay. After that, prepare your source. Okay. So for my source, what are the things that I need to bring to the new house? Okay, so is everything covered? All right. So yeah. So after preparing all those things, load the email to the truck, and then off we go. So let's assume it's gonna take 1 to 3 weeks. Okay. So after moving the emails to the new home, then we have to think about the files, the content, right? So okay, just a final check before I move this file. I just need to make sure that everything is set before I move this with Google. I mean, from Google to Microsoft. So after that, load again the files and then move it to the new home. Right? Sounds simple, but it's really not. I'm just giving you a high level overview on how to do that. Okay. Now, of course, if I am going to migrate this one, there are some companies that are not yet ready to move everything to Microsoft 365. Don't worry. So We can set like an email forwarding, for example, from Google to Microsoft 365 so that we can do a staggered migration until such a time that everything is completely migrated. So that's how you migrate your data from a different source going to Microsoft 365. All right, now the question is, what is next after migrating? What is next after onboarding, right? So, well, I have to check my ways, right? So, so there are a lot of ways that I have to check. Um, what is the shortest path? What is the good path, right? So I'm gonna check it. I think we need to do the enablement because the first thing that I have to do is to make sure that my users are able to adapt to this technology. The technology that we are using, all right, is evergreen. It's always changing, and it's necessary that you understand our users have an understanding. How do they use it? Okay, how do they share the best practices with each other, and how do you maintain that process? All right. So this is the reason why we created this timeline. We call this one the modern workplace journey timeline, right? So let's go back. What's happened before? Where are we? Okay. So initially, we have the business premium workshop, right? So the premium workshop, it invites small and medium-sized businesses to showcase what are the benefits of migrating to Microsoft 365, right? So we wanted to show you there the productivity and security tools that you can use so that you can effectively collaborate with each other. After that, here we are. We are already migrating our data, right? So what we have done is that we conducted data gathering, technical assessment, we provided technical proposal plus capacity planning for the migration. And then we have here the migration proper, the solution deployment, and then stabilization and adaption. That's where we are. Okay. All right. So that's where we are. Then what's next? Then we have to think about enablement. So that's the where the fast track comes in. So we're going to enable your users and your administrators to effectively maximize the usage of what you have paid for, right? So how can we make sure that you are using that one correctly, right? And what are the best practices that you can do to help you out with your journey? Okay. And of course, we can wait until your company matures, or you can also take advantage of the Teams Essential Workshop. In here, we wanted to show you that Microsoft Teams can be an effective tool for unified collaboration for meetings, chat, and documents. We can also show you here how you can integrate your third-party emails with Microsoft Teams Essential. Okay, so we can do that. And if I am a business owner, I have to think ahead, right? So I have to think ahead. We're doing hybrid work, and a pandemic might hit again, right? Um, but I wanted to make sure that all of my data is protected, right? So, uh, well, how about we go with Windows 365? What is that? So Windows 365 can help you streamline by providing cloud PCs to your users. So think of it as a modern desktop as a service solution. Okay. So what is the best scenario for this one? So some of us, we are using VPN, virtual private network, in order for you to access your corporate data. The problem with VPN, sometimes it's not working. You have to set it up, right? So with this kind of solution, it's a fixed desktop as a service solution, and you can streamline your apps. So all you have to do is just to make sure that all your data are properly set with that desktop, and you can basically access this one from anywhere, right? Wherever you are, and that's secured, right? So we can show you like a demo on how to use that one. There's also what we call the Azure Virtual Desktop because the Windows 365 this one is has fixed settings. Okay, um, the Azure Virtual Desktop is more customizable, more flexible, right? Um, And that one, you can set like a host pool or a virtual machine, and then migrate probably all your applications on that machine, and then we can do a multi-session environment so that everyone can access. So this is how the modern workplace journey timeline goes. And again, my name is Jeric. That concludes my training or my presentation on how to ace your hybrid modern workplace solution. Back to you, Mimi.
Okay. So thanks, Jeric. So if you have questions, please place that in our chat room and we will address that during the Q&A. So now let us help you migrate to M365 securely with less effort. So let me call back again Luis Barrera, Cloud Services Manager from Tech One Philippines. Boss Luis?
Yeah, thanks, Mimi. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So I'll be discussing more on the security. So achieving productivity and security with modern work solution. All right, so let's start the conversation with what is top of mind for small and mid-sized customers today and why they should invest in security. So the new realities
Sorry,
of
Boss Luis, are you gonna show a slide?
yes, sorry about that.
Yeah,
Just give me a second. Okay.
thank you.
All right. So can you see my screen now? Thank you so much.
Yes, boss.
All right, thank you. So, um the new realities again for what's going on in today's reality. Um the traditional security model is failing fast because of the workplace that we are in right now. So like for example, before we are normally we go to the office and we work there, let's just say 5 days in a week, but because of the pandemic everything has changed. The way that we work, maybe some of the industries cannot really achieve on how they could go try to do remote work, but there are some cases that like for example if you're working in the office, so there's a chances that you'll be working at home or from different locations. So if we're talking about security, the traditional network and the security perimeter model has disappeared as where we work has evolved to a mix of locations, models from remote to hybrid work, and no matter where workers are, access to variety of the tools on premises or in the cloud is essential to be able to easily collaborate with partners, employees, and even as customers. So if you're running a business today, I'm pretty sure that the way we work right now has changed dramatically in the last few months. And employees, customers, and even as partners are all distributed and remote, and much and more of our business is now transacted online versus in person. So there is a growing realization that the remote and the distributed work is here to stay, as what it mentions on the survey coming from Gartner. It revealed that 74% of the companies will move some of their previously on-site workforce to permanently remote positions post COVID-19. And as the employees and partners work remotely, there is an increasingly using of personal devices and networks to access business data and business applications, which sometimes it could be insecure and it can leave your confidential customer or work data vulnerable to any cyber threats or cyber attacks, which it will heighten by increasing of a lot of cyber attacks that leads to um, it could be it could compromise your business. So the question here is that how can we optimize our business to work better in an online distributed world, and how do we maintain security and at the same time looking to reduce that cost? So as how the SMBs are very vulnerable in this types of attacks. So there is a 300 increase in ransomware attacks nowadays, no? And 50% of them are directed against SMBs or small and mid-sized businesses. So these small businesses face similar threats as like the enterprises, um, and also they don't have quite that same protection as the enterprises security posture has. So without protecting their data of this SMB, so they're actually at risk of losing customers with the consequences that can be nearly devastating. So there's instance here, if you could see on the below, the average cost of a breach for an SMB, so estimated it's around 108,000 USD. And that is why it makes so much economic sense for a small business to invest in security upfront. So what SMB tells us they need is a solution that can help them optimize hybrid work while protecting against cyber threats while still maintaining those costs. So we have to face that this new reality needs a new principle. So on top of this, organizations are dealing with an increasing volume and sophistication threats. We've all seen the headlines recently, no, and this is the new reality. It requires what we call the zero trust approach. So the zero trust approach, it's not just evident on the enterprises, but it can be practices as well in the SMB segment. So what is zero trust? No. So for zero trust, we only need to consider three key principles. So the first one, it shows there, verify explicitly. So it means that moving from assumption to explicit verification, meaning we always authenticate and authorize based on available data points, including, for example, your user identity, location, your device health, your service or workload. Maybe it's also including there the data classification and the anomalies. The second one is use list privilege access. It means that we need to adopt a policy base that you meaning we need to limit our users with just in time and just enough access to protect both data and productivity. And lastly, assume breach. It means that we need to design with an assumption that every element of your system can be breached. Minimize the blast radius of breaches and employ security strategies to prevent such lateral movements. So with this one, um, so how does it show zero trust to employ this new principle? So as you can see on the screen, every access request is strongly authenticated. So coming from an identity standpoint, everything from the user identity to the application hosting environment is used to verify the request and prevent breach and to limit the impact of the potential breaches. We apply some sort of a segmentation policy, employ the principle of least privilege access to the administrators or to the IT administrators, and it provides the use of analytics to help us detect and respond quickly. So, how do we incorporate the zero trust architecture or the zero trust framework in using the Microsoft 365 business? So here I can show you that for the SMBs, Microsoft 365 Business Premium includes all those capabilities that come with the Microsoft 365 standard, plus the tools for advanced security. So it includes protecting your identity. For the identity, it focus the license queue there is what we call the Azure AD Premium plan below. And then for the cyber threat protection with the Microsoft Defender for Office 365 that protects your Exchange, your SharePoint, your Teams, and the device management with the Intune, or now it's called Endpoint Management, and data protection with the Azure Information Protection, but right now it's called the Microsoft Information Protection. So I'll be showing you, I can say, five top common challenges or five common challenges that we might face especially if we're facing these kinds of cyber threats. No, so the first challenge, and how do Microsoft 365 could solve this challenge? So let's just imagine um, our organization is with 50 or 100 employees, and then where some of the employees are working from office, and then some of them are working remotely. So the customer wants to provide employee access, secure access to the work apps, so that they can continue driving the business forward. But however, the hackers nowadays, they could compromise your workers' credentials and get access to their emails and passwords. So that's going to be the challenge here. So how can Microsoft 365 Business Premium solve that problem? So in this scenario, like what I mentioned earlier, Microsoft 365 Business Premium comes with the Azure AD Premium Plan 1, which includes two very important capabilities. So the first one is what we call the multi-factor authentication and the conditional access. I'm pretty much sure that all of us are already aware of what is multi-factor authentication. But in fact, if you are planning to use multi-factor authentication, it can help you thwart 99% of identity attacks. And at the same time, you could also combine it using the conditional access with MFA to help ensure that only authorized people have access to that work data or to that application by controlling who, when, where has access to that work apps. The second challenge here is, this is most common, phishing attacks. So as you all know that, I'm pretty much sure all of us maybe were able to experience this. And by clicking that credentials, those credentials can be used by hackers to access your email or other online accounts in your organization. So how can Microsoft 365 Business Premium solve this problem? So for the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, there is a service there called Safe Links, wherein, for example, if you receive that email with that URL or that hyperlink, so whenever that user clicks on that URL, so the link is checked by the Defender Safe Links, and it is identified as blocked, malicious, or safe before opening the website. So example here, if the user will get a warning page if they click the link and it is malicious. Another feature, especially if someone is sending an attachment. So sometimes those attachments can contain malicious or executable malware, and that's gonna cause you, a lot of things going on. So if you're using Microsoft 365 Business Premium, there is a service called the Safe Attachments feature, wherein it scans those executable attachments coming in via email, and then it's gonna open up some sort of a virtual sandbox environment. So if the file is malicious, it tries to check check that content, and otherwise if that safe attachment was able to say that that content has any suspicious behavior, so Microsoft 365 would not allow you to open that attachment. And this protection is not only um, is being used via email, it can also be applied if you're going to use your SharePoint Online, your OneDrive for Business, and even in Teams. And then in addition to it, it has this anti-phishing capabilities that detects email authentication failures and obvious impersonation attempts, powered by this AI anti-phishing intelligence in the business premium, which will help us protect against any advanced impersonation and spoofing by detecting, for example, unusual email patterns, unusual requests sent to the users, and even other suspicious email behaviors. So that's the second challenge has been solved. Another challenge is accidental data loss or data breach. So as we all know, all of us, we're keeping customer records, employee records, maybe contracts, proposals, or any other PII information in our organization. So I'll be giving you a scenario. For example, if you can see the persona there, his name is Adrian. He works in the Northwind Traders Company. So occasionally, Adrian use a password on an Excel spreadsheet to guard his sensitive information, like for example, salaries or any PII data in his Excel spreadsheet. But these security measures, it's not being practiced at all, and a lot of documents are emailed around or saved on the USB keys without any protection. So anyone who has the copy of that, anyone can download that document, and then if for example, if I've already downloaded that document, and then there's an instance that I'm gonna leave the company, bringing that confidential document. So how do we address these types of this challenge? So with the help of Microsoft 365, so it allows you to use the Azure Information Protection capability, wherein you could classify that this is a highly confidential document, and then through that data label or that data classification, it allows you to automatically encrypt the data. And at the same time, it only allows you to be accessed by your company employees. So let's just say, for example, if Marites here, so there's another salesperson here. So let's just say if Marites was able to get that copy, but that has been tagged with the information protection. So if Marites will, she has that copy, and let's just say she's gonna leave the company, then that's the time that if she attempts to open that file, she no longer has any access to that document. So that helps out on getting us making sure that the data is properly secured, and at the same time you also get the capabilities like for example the data loss prevention and the information protection, that it will help you classify and protect sensitive data. Just like what it's showing here on the screen. Um, for example, if you're sharing out like a credit card number or a social security number, it doesn't really allow you to share it out to your fellow employee or fellow colleagues within the organization. Another challenge is since we're already doing the hybrid work, so there are some cases that some employees use their personal devices to access work data. So of course, if that person is able to let's just say download a confidential data and save it to her personal device, then that's also another data breach or accidental loss. No? So how do we able to prevent these types of scenario? So with the help again with Microsoft 365, you can protect against this scenario by setting up what we call the Intune app protection policies, wherein you could specify that work apps are separated from personal applications, and that work documents and attachments are only saved on authorized work shares. Like for example, you can only save it using OneDrive for Business or in your SharePoint online environment, safeguarding that sensitive work information. And lastly, one of the most common is the ransomware. So as we all know that hackers attempt to use targeted malware to encrypt important files, then demanding payment to have them unlocked. And then 80% of these businesses, based on the survey, with less than 300 employees, list ransomware as a top concern. So how do we protect ourselves from ransomware using Microsoft 365 Business Premium? So with the help of the Microsoft Defender for Business capabilities, like for example, the endpoint detection and response or EDR for short, we have a protection is placed even if a user is tricked into bypassing that defenses or malicious actor is able to get past that protection in highly targeted scenario. So with the help of Microsoft Defender, It will detect and stop suspicious behaviors automatically, as well as correlate multiple related alerts into a single incident for reporting and follow investigation. And another thing, aside from the EDR, Microsoft 365 Business Premium, it also helps you to recover files in the event of a successful ransomware attack. For example, if the files are stored in OneDrive for Business, for example, are automatically versioned, which allows you to recover versions of items that predate their encryption by the ransomware with just a few clicks. So, here are some questions. So now we already understand that Microsoft 365 Business Premium can help you um, against those challenges. So let's just say, for example, what if I already have an antivirus solution, and why do I need to invest in additional security? So, well, indeed, it is a very common question for many small and medium businesses. Only think of antivirus as a be all of their security needs. The truth is that the attacks against these SMBs are more sophisticated and more targeted, as we see, with 300% increase in both identity and ransomware attacks. In fact, phishing and identity-based attacks are the one most common attack vectors in the small and medium businesses. And so having that robust multi-layer protection across identity protection, so the advanced cyber threat protection defenses against phishing and ransomware are critical. And with the help of Microsoft 365, it includes these defenses. As you can see on the screen, it brings you that multi-layer protection across user identity to the device security, application security, and even on the document security. Another question is that I already have a business basic and business standard. Why should I pay more for the Microsoft 365 Business Premium? Again, like what I mentioned, or just by seeing on the screen, the business basic and business standard, it only focuses on the productivity. For the Microsoft 365 Business Premium, you're able to get the advanced security capabilities that have been discussed today. And then how about in this question? So is Microsoft 365 Business Premium really cost competitive? By looking at this in your screen, so as you can see, we managed to get some of the third party uh, point solutions across productivity and security, saving you more than $30 per user per month. Like, for example, if you have a requirement that focuses on single sign-on, then definitely you need to get Okta, that's $2, and then additional for MFA, that's $6. If you need to get a device management from a IBM mobile as a service or mobile device management as a service, so that's around $4. Endpoint protection, that's if you're using Kaspersky, for example, so that's $3. For Proofpoint email protection, that's $5 until going through the chat-based collaboration. So over all of that, that's gonna cost you $45 per month per user. But if you're going to compare Microsoft 365 Business Premium, it's gonna save you a lot of money with all of those capabilities that you're seeing on the screen. And lastly, why should I choose Microsoft as your security provider? Not only that, Microsoft is the leading software in the enterprise market and 90% of the Fortune 500 companies. So the good thing about it is that one of their core needs of the small businesses in a good antivirus solution is that they are already ranked as top of the AV by tests. Like, for example, the AV test, the AV comparatives, and the SE labs and more. And as well as coming from Gartner, they're already the leader in the 5 Magic Quadrant report. So from the access management, cloud security brokers, information archiving, endpoint platforms, and unified endpoint management. And at the same time, Microsoft is also named in the IDC MarketScape for modern endpoint security for enterprise and small and mid-sized businesses. So I'm gonna show you a quick video in order for you just to have you a better illustration of what will be the 5 benefits of using Microsoft 365 Business Premium. So watch this video.
When it comes to security, 60% of small businesses don't feel prepared for cyber attacks. But protecting your company is easier than you think. Microsoft 365 Business Premium brings together advanced security capabilities with collaboration tools to help you run your business securely from anywhere. Here are the top 5 ways in which Microsoft 365 Business Premium can benefit your business. Communicate and collaborate effortlessly. You want to spend less time switching between apps or searching for files and more time being productive. With Microsoft Teams, your employees can collaborate in real time through chat and online meetings, share files, and co-author documents, all in one convenient place. Protect from unauthorized access. Your remote employees need access to data and files, but their email and password could get hacked. Advanced multi-factor authentication uses a second form of authentication and has been shown to thwart 99% of identity attacks, protecting you against lost or stolen passwords. And conditional access policies help ensure only authorized people have access to company data. Microsoft 365 Business Premium helps protect you against phishing attacks and ransomware. Real-time AI-powered malware scanning helps protect attachments and links in shared docs across email, Teams, and OneDrive, while anti-spoofing technologies help defend against impersonation. Plus, it helps thwart ransomware by preventing unauthorized apps or scripts from accessing files. Safeguard your sensitive data. You probably deal with sensitive information like customer data or credit card numbers. The information protection capabilities of Microsoft 365 Business Premium help safeguard confidential data against breaches or accidental loss by encrypting email and protecting against unauthorized access. Secure your work data on personal devices. As employees use personal phones or tablets to access work data, Microsoft 365 Business Premium can prevent confidential work files from being saved into unsecure personal locations. Mobile app protection policies help keep work and personal apps separate and also allow work data to be wiped remotely if an employee moves on. Those are just 5 of the ways Microsoft 365 Business Premium can help enable secure work from anywhere while being cost-effective and easy to use.
All right, so that's the 5 benefits of using Microsoft 365 Business Premium. And here on my last slide, so going back, it's actually part of my one of my initial slides. So where does Microsoft 365 Business Premium fit in the Zero Trust framework? So as you can see here, so this is going to be the areas that Microsoft 365 um, taking advantage of the security features that you have and following the Zero Trust framework. And hopefully, I was able to provide insights to this session. So, again, thank you so much. And back to you, Mimi.
Okay, thanks, Boss Luis. Okay, let me just show my screen. So once again, thank you to our speakers. Now it's time for our Q&A. So we hope that you had shared your questions in our chat room. So if that's the case, some of our speakers left the room already because of some prior commitment. But for those speakers who are still in the session, we hope that you could still address some of the questions from our attendees if there's any. So Jeric is still here, Boss Lahiro, and also Bot, and also Luis is also here in the session. So to our attendees, if you have any questions so far, you may place them in our chat room so that our speakers can address them accordingly. I actually have a question to raise also, because one of the things that we're checking, or some of the clients that we had talked to in the past, are actually, this is the common question that they are asking. So why would I opt, or why would I choose, or why would I, let's say, migrate or transfer to M365 if we are already using a Google Workplace? From let's say, Jeric, do you want to answer this one?
Yes, I would
Yes,
like
please.
to.
Sige, please, boss.
So yeah, why exactly do you want to go to Microsoft? Well, as you can see from the presentation of Boss Luis, the number one, according to almost all of the surveys, security platform or solution or cloud solution is Microsoft. And this is the main reason why people are going to Microsoft, because it's implementing the zero trust technology, and you can be assured that your data and all of your emails, your files are safeguarded already. I don't have to worry about that one, because if I will be going to a solution, I will also need to invest with my security. No, Google has it also, right? It just so happened that the top and the number one security platform, according to the survey, is Microsoft. So I definitely will go to a trusted solution. So yeah,
Wow,
that's
that's a
it.
good answer. But usually, let's say if the clients are to migrate to M365, how long does it usually take to do the migration, and what kind of involvement do they have to do during the migration?
Okay. So let's say, for example, you're still a Google user and you're going to migrate. So it's the answer to that question is going to be dependent on the number of users and the average mailbox size and average file size that you are going to migrate. From our previous engagement with Mambot, actually, they have like around if I'm not mistaken, around 150 users, right? So 150 users. So at first we have to check how big is that? How what are the sizes of your mailboxes? We also have to consider what are the domains that you are going to migrate, right? So we have to do a capacity planning with that one. So and also we have to understand if you're going to migrate to M365, what kind of management do you want? Do you want everything to be cloud managed, or do you want to have like a touch of the on-premise control, and then you still have the Microsoft 365, like a hybrid workplace, right? So to answer your question, how long? It's going to be dependent on those factors. But with the 150 users that we have migrated with Mambot, that only took us around 2 to 3 weeks, because the sizes of their mailbox is not more than 50 gigabyte. So that's it.
Okay. Okay, thanks, Jeric. Do we still have some questions in our chat room? I think there's no more question na so far. But if in case to our attendees you have any more further questions that you want to ask, you can send it to Rod or to Eric, and we will address that accordingly. Okay, so right now we have a limited time, and we just answered a few questions, and we'll respond to the remaining questions via email. So once again, thank you so much to our speakers from TechOne Global, Microsoft, and Boss Coffee. Ace your hybrid modern workplace. Schedule a free business consultation now by sending us an email at aliana@tech1global.com. So we look forward to seeing you again at our subsequent events. Stay safe, stay healthy. I am Mimi Navarro. Have a good day, everyone. Thank you.